Okay, so the first thing is you have this image that has a scan to it, and in the window of layers is where you're going to see the selection here. So up at the top, you might not see it in here, but Windows is showing you layers right there. So that'll give you that first effect. And I can create a new layer so that I can put his on a separate one and then double click the name and I'll just give me a section there. And just type it in like so. But for sometimes I'm just going to keep it a CF just for temporary. Okay, so that's the layer that it's on. These other layers that head in and Command plus or minus are going to zoom in and out if you remember. And these layers I can just hide just to show you how that's working. The tab key hides all of the palettes and brings them all back. So, and then you have at the bottom of the toolbar is the section that gives you this piece and the space bar where I can place that up there. Remember that you're under Window. You might not be able to see the window, but it's right up here at the top. You can see that you have all these options, and the toolbars have advanced and basic, and I'm just going to keep it at advanced and recommend that you have that so you can see everything. Illustrator works with the fill and a stroke, and so far we've done the shape tool with the rectangulars, if you remember, and the one right above it looks like a pen nib from calligraphy, so it's just a pen nib right there. And that's what I'm going to start with, just to keep it kind of a simple design until we get carried away here with this. So when you take a look, it's kind of like a little character. So I'm going to take the pen tool and just click on this. The F is kind of sideways on laying down, and I'm just going to click and create this. I'm going to zoom into it just a little bit. Command plus. Oops, wrong way. And the space bar just to move it up so it's right in the screen so you can see it. And as I come down, just clicking across here, you can see there's like different thicknesses on the letter, but I'm going to keep them consistent. It's filling with white, so that's the piece. I'm just going to turn it off right now for the color until I get to exactly where I want to go. And then here I'm just sliding this over with the space bar to get the hand tool, and that gives me this logo. Same with this one. And when you come back to a point, it makes a shape, and you'll see a circle icon at the bottom of the nib of the point, showing that pen nib, and that creates the shape. And I can give this a color just so we can see what's happening in that section. This little piece in the middle, I'll still use I'll do it a couple ways. I'll do it with the pen tool again. So I'm assuming that it's going to be straight. And I get up to here, and when I get to this point, again, I'm going to turn this fill off just so I can see through it, and I'll zoom in. There's a curve right here, and in the midpoint between the curve is where you're going to click and hold the mouse down and drag this pink-purple handle that comes out. And these are two handles that come out when you do that. And let go. And now the computer is going to continue the curve on the next point I click. And that'll add that point there. And coming down here. And I'm going to make that straight. I'm not sure, Connor, if you wanted that straight or not. But I'll place that on there. So that gives me that curve right there. And then just go ahead and give it another color so you can see it. You can change all that later, but just so you can see the two pieces. So that's for that first section. Then I look at this kind of like it looks like a face, so I'll turn off this ahead of time just so I can select this. So this was selected. Command is going to turn the cursor into an arrow, which when I click off of everything, it deselects everything. And with the fill, I'll keep it started just so you can see it. I'm going to just click here. That's the first point of origin. And then just as you wrap around this, I'm just going to go from the distance, kind of seeing this curve, and go half the distance, and just click and extend this. And you can see the curve goes back and forth like that. I just want a very shallow curve right there, and work my way up. The trick is not to put, points like this. You don't want to do that. I'll just undo those. Command Z. You want to kind of get the least amount of points to get the curve nice and graceful in there. And I'll come all the way over to this side and down to this part. And here, now just keep it a straight point right there. I'm going to this time take the fill out because it's going to get in the way, and just keep a straight corner point there. Look at this distance and try to click and drag that piece around. And this one, just a slight curve. You can see the origin to it. A slight curve here for the top. I'm still going to go just a midpoint right there. You can see where it curves down at the bottom and down here. Now if I click and drag, I can still curve that one piece. Now these are called handles, so when I go into the selection tool, which is up on the left, direct selection lets me select one point, and as soon as I do that, the handles come out and they work independently like so, and kind of builds that up. So when you click on the anchor point, whatever handles were there will show up. If you made, that's called a curved point, and up at the top you can see the curve icons for that. If you pick one that's a corner point, it won't have the handles, but it has this little circle widget that you can click on and curve it, and it'll set that curve. So sometimes that's nicer to use than drawing it. So like this one looks like it has a little curve, so I'll leave that there. And in fact, I might as well just round off that one too. Kind of fits the character. And this one has a little curve. Now if it's a curved point ahead of time, it won't have that. But if you click up here, you can set it to a corner point and then come back and use that if you think it's necessary. If not, just keep it as it was with the drawing. This allows you to move the point as well, so you can do that, and it gives you a lot of flexibility. So I'll just zoom out of this, click on here, and I'll give that a color just to see it. Now this, the mouth and the eyes, I'm going to go back to the shape tool and hold the mouse down and get the ellipse tool, and that allows me just to make a circle, an elliptical shape, depending on how I drag the mouse. If I hold the shift key down, it makes it a perfect circle, and that places that. And if I want to keep the same size circle, I can just duplicate it by taking the selection tool, hold the option to duplicate it, and just drag a copy right over there, and it makes a copy of it. So we've done that motion before. And now you have this little, looks like the mouth smiling, so I'm going to click once and see if I can do the whole thing over here with one motion. So it's just 2 points right there. Little Amazon there. So this is just the stroke now, and I'll give it a color. And what happens now with the stroke palette right over here, when you open this up,
we can't see the palette.
You can't see the palette?
No.
Oh no. How about this palette that I'm moving across? Anything?
Can't see anything.
Oh dear. It'll show up in the video though, but just to show you at the bottom of the palette, there's a thing listed in there. Hopefully it'll show up. Let's see, I'll try it again. And it gives a profile, what allows this thing to be a little bit thicker like that. So that's the mouse doing it. Could you see anything of me drawing?
We can see it getting thicker. We can't see what you're clicking though.
Gotcha.
I'm pretty sure that's because those are you're sharing the Adobe Illustrator thing and nothing else, and I think the other things are not registered as Adobe Illustrator or something.
I'll see if it comes out in the video when I'm kind of taping this right now, so it should come through.
All right.
Okay, so now you can see the pen tool at all? Can you see the toolbar?
Yeah, we can see the toolbar.
Oh, that's good. Okay. So this side kind of
disappeared.
What's that?
Well, now it disappeared.
I think I moved it off the page there. How about now?
It's gone now.
Oh dear. I'll give this a try here. That's tricky. Well, you can see me drawing, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and then I'll come back. I think it'll show up in the video here. So
until that disappears.
So there's the curve. So see how it's kind of curvy on the end. I don't want it to curve, so just click on the end point. It turns to a corner point. You see the little caret is what they call that. And again, I'm trying to use the least amount of points as I go around this to give me a nice smooth transition. So when I do this, it jumps the screen a little bit just because it goes off the edge. And here I want a corner point to come back down. So if I don't have enough space, I can always just zoom out and it makes the motion that I do. Now when I click on this, it'll jump around for that curve and that handle comes out. So that's the shape. And I'm just going to swap the color out for that piece. And that'll give me that section. So here's the next one up here. So I'm just going to click on the one point, and by doing that, when I click the command plus, it'll zoom into that point, so it helps me with the navigation. And just come down, maybe make that a curve. Again, if I go over here, you can see how the lines has this rubber band option. So when I click on it, it sets it as a corner point. I click and just curve it out very shallow. Click on this. I'm going to swap this back. If I don't do it from here, I can use the keystroke, which is Shift X. And then I can come up here and click on this point here. You can see how it jumps in there. And just Shift X is going to bring that across. And if I want to deselect everything, just hold Command key and click. And then here's the space bar. Again, if I can't see it, there's a couple ways to do it. I'll just zoom out, come over here to the right-hand side, and click just to set the point and set that curve. But I like to zoom in nice and close. And here's the point for this one. So this curve, like a little mitten shape, I'm going to come around on the top, get that curve right there. And so I've done it in like 2 points, 2 anchor points. And here's the same one, so I'm going to try to come to the midpoint of this to get that curve. And then come all the way down here. So you can see it's going to close it and just stretch that out nice. If I have to go back and edit it, just remember the direct selection lets me do anything on that like that. And then Shift X is just going to swap these two on a keystroke. And I can also click off of here that direction. Okay, and now this last one. So a lot of shapes using the pen tool, gives you a little practice. I'm going to make that a nice curve. It looks like it came out. And there's the shallowness of it right there. Click on there to get the point. Shift X just to swap it so it's the fill in the stroke. Click that point. And like I said, as you design this from the drawing, now you're doing it on the screen, gives you a little bit more flexibility to it. There's the curve. There's that curve. And Shift X. Okay, so now that's pretty much what he has there. One thing I just wanted to show you on this one down here, since it's there, this little looks like a shirt. I'm just going to go, you can't see object, but hide that selection. And I'm going to do the same thing with the pen tool, just to show it to you. Curve it up here a little bit. So say you wanted to, just another way to look at this. And say I want a nice circle there, so I'm going to take the ellipse tool, space bar just to get it so you can see it. Just put the ellipse right on top of it. 2 ways to do it. And actually there's 3 ways to do it. I'll do all 3 of them. So I'll just give that a little bit darker so you can see it. So it's a shape on top of a shape. And we've been using or mentioning the Pathfinder. Now I have a lot of palettes open, can't see it. So under Window, I go to Pathfinder, and there it is. It'll bring it up, even if it was closed. Just to go over this, if you click on here, it makes it one shape. Undo it. The one I want is right next to it. And it just makes a nice clean cut with an elliptical shape. So I'm going to undo that. So that's Pathfinder. And there's another tool just introduced to you. It looks like a little sideways two-circle snowman. It's a shape builder. And when both are selected and overlapping, it has this little shaded box. And if I click, it has a plus sign, and a plus sign. It makes one big shape.